Calgary's doing such a great job drafting, picking up young talent that it's when your older guys step out and time for new talent to come in and, bring the Flames into a new era, you're going to have that talent there already and it's just going to be flawless. So I think maybe two, three, four max you're going to see back in the playoffs. And pretty scary team.
Okay, welcome Nick Yakubon onto the show from Watch the Stats Analytics, formerly Nick the Habs fan on Twitter. We've been following that account for a while. I know you do some really good stuff, but why don't we kick us off. What's the breakdown behind this Watch the Stats Analytics? Is that all you? And tell us how you got started in this whole world of hockey.
Yeah, so it is me. I started out, I was just in middle school. And I remember Carey Price, and I remember just looking at his save percentage. And it started with I just graphed it out, and that just got me interested in just the stats behind hockey because I already loved hockey from living in Montreal. So I just kept doing that, and then as I don't know, I got older, I just learned more, and then it started as I kind of made NHLE without realizing it already existed when I started out high school. I was in a GM fantasy league and I wanted a way to, rank players for the draft.
Yep.
So I just made that. And then after the draft, I realized, oh, wait, this already exists. So then that evolved into where I am today.
Cool. So how long have you been this Watch the Stats? If people want to go check it out, I know you were posting a lot about the draft results. I think did you have every player, almost every player, right? Stats cards and whatnot.
Put a tweet out for every skater that was drafted. Yeah.
Yeah. So some awesome information. If people want to check it out, how do they do
that? First, I have Watch the Stats on Twitter. It's under my name, Nick Yakubon. And then I also have my Buy Me a Coffee page where people can buy a membership and have all the cards themselves.
Cool. All right. Well, we really gravitated to what you had to say about the Flames in this past draft. You did a cool chart, basically, measuring teams on their draft strength based on not necessarily how much superstar power they brought in, but how well they did for where they were seated in the draft. And the Flames ranked top of your list. So maybe break us down on this whole chart, and then we can get into some of the specific players.
Yeah, so I wanted to look at which teams use their draft picks the most efficiently, because you're not always going to be picking at the top of the draft. So if you just rank it by who added the most talent, it's going to favor the teams at the top, like the Islanders. They came in number one by a lot.
Yeah.
So I think if you look at it this way and you keep being in the top in the long run, your team's going to be very successful. I think you can look at teams like Tampa Bay in the past.
But we typically never pick.
We never pick in the top. We're like the only team in the whole league other than Vegas who's never picked top three. So
this is very important that the Flames are doing well in this category.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what Tampa Bay did before they went on their dynasty with guys like Braden Point and Kucherov in the later rounds. It's how you build a winning team. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I was just going to say you had them. I think they went back to back using your model in terms of how efficient they were last year too, right?
Yeah, I had them at the top last year as well.
Nice.
1, 2, or 3. I don't remember exactly, but they were up there for sure. Yeah.
I think it was number one. I think they went back to back. We'll just say they went back to back.
Obviously, St. Prick at 9 really adds a lot of value there.
Correct at 9, but then they also had some later guys. I remember Misa, my model liked. That's one of the names I remember. But, yeah.
Andrew Basha. Yeah, they did good last draft.
Yeah, him too.
Okay, so what? Who were the key players from this year's draft that really kind of drove us up in this category this season?
Yeah, well, there were 2 main guys for Calgary that really brought them up. It started with Cole Reshny. I had him ranked number 8 in my combined rankings, and obviously taking him at 18, it's a lot of good value. If you think about just trading the 8th overall pick, you pick that up at just for 18th overall, which pretty good.
That's huge.
Not a lot of scouts like him because as much as I do because of his frame and maybe play style concerns, but his numbers are really incredible, and pretty confident in him that he's going to be pretty good at the next level.
Yeah, you do a cool thing with your rankings. You just had like it's combined, so you combine the scouts ranking and the model ranking, and your model had him ranked 4th, I believe, right? Reshny?
Yeah,
The scouts had him
really
at 17, and he was at 4th, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I found that doing it that way leads to the best outcome. I looked at 2014 to 2018 drafts, since those are the only drafts where I could find enough scout data to have like over 100 ranked players. And then it's also been long enough since the draft, so you know how those players did. And in every single year, it was either the combined was the best in 3 out of those 5, and then the other 2 was just flat out my model was better. So yeah, I found that doing it combined is
nice,
a pretty good way to look at it.
And then I know, Mikey, you shared this, but yeah, Cole Reshny is just behind Gavin McKenna in the WHL 2025 playoffs highest points per game this past season.
Yeah,
which is always a great stat because I mean, I don't know how much it's. I think analytics will catch up to this at some point, but there's a lot of talk. You always need 2 teams, one to get you into the playoffs through the 82 game grind. You gotta have a lot of skill to get you there, and then obviously when playoffs comes, it's a different game, it's a different beast. Guys like Sam Bennett, right? The cream rises at the top in that sense. So that's why we love hockey. It's just 2 different seasons.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you mentioned a second player who maybe kind of brought the Flames up in this efficiency category.
Yeah, it was. I have him pulled up here. It was Ethan Widenbuck. I think that's how you say it. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, they took him at 144, and I had him ranked 41st. So his production just really stood out. As historically, players that produce like that are pretty set to go on to do good things. And that's even in the combined, when factoring in the scouts that had him like 200th overall, he still popped up at 41st when I combined them. So, yeah.
That's promising because for Reshny, Nick, you're not the only guy that I saw that had him ranked a lot higher than where he ended up going. And same with, I saw a lot of people saying the same thing about Widenbuck, that he was a bit of a steal a little bit later on in the draft, 144th overall.
Yeah, a lot of us analytics guys liked him. His production was really impressive.
Cool. Flames also snag Colin Potter at the end of the first round. The book on him, super fast, really speedy. Any thoughts on his game? What do you like about his game?
Yeah, I think the speed stands out right away. I was reading some scouting reports, and a bunch of them said that he was one of, if not the fastest guy in the class.
Yeah, I also saw that.
That's nice. Hockey is, especially in the modern game, speed really helps. Yeah. And I had him ranked pretty much where they took him. I think I had him 34th, and they took him 32nd. So, they didn't reach on him or anything, which I think is good. Yeah, I could see him as a.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I could see him as like a solid middle of the lineup player whose speed will give you some nice highlights.
Cool. Flames pick Theo Huselius.
Sweet. Christian Huselius vibe. That's what I've remembered from that. Christian Huselius.
What's kind of your book on this guy?
He's also another guy that my model liked. I had him 45th. So
nice.
They picked him up. When was it? 54th or something?
Yeah, second.
Yeah, 54th.
Yeah, so another guy that they took earlier or later than I had him ranked, which is a good sign that you're picking up talent that's falling to you. And yeah, I think his production, the Swedish juniors, was pretty impressive and probably should have gone higher, but Flames are lucky they had him where they got him.
Yeah, he's a big boy, 6'3". I think your model had him around just the model had him at 38.
Yeah,
like you said, for how young he was, his junior numbers are pretty good. So that's a good pick. I feel like you can't go wrong with a big Swedish guy. I don't know. Maybe that's just my bias.
Who produces really well.
Yeah.
A bunch of teams took big forwards this year that had pretty unimpressive production. So if you can get that with a guy that produced pretty well, you're looking pretty good.
Well, especially if he plays down the middle.
Yeah.
Do you see that? Like, you have a lot of knowledge of kind of this scout data. Obviously, like the size bias is still kind of there, eh?
It was, especially this year, it was a lot stronger than I felt in other years. Like,
didn't you post something? Yeah, you posted something, Nick. There was 0 picks.
Yeah.
There were 0 defensemen taken that were under 6 feet, right?
which is absolutely crazy to me,
Yeah.
especially after you saw the success of like Lane Hudson's happening
Yeah.
right now. Not to
Yeah.
as a Habs fan, but it's like if you see guys like that who seem to be translating okay, maybe take a shot on some of the younger guys. And I have something coming out later where it's the top undrafted players, and like out of the 15 names on that list, I think 13 of them are under 6 foot. So I think it's just
Yeah.
a bunch of undersized guys that just were undervalued, which leads
Yeah.
potential to next year if a analytic team wants to pick them up after they continue producing well.
Yeah.
Could be a
I
good
guess
shot.
the Florida Panthers doing what they did in back-to-back years. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
You
weird.
know,
It kind of swings, right? Yeah.
they're really big on the
Yeah.
back end, and it's kind of this, copycat league. So maybe, yeah, it's always swinging. But there's
Mhm.
always been a bias. Probably always will be.
Well, hey, it works
Yeah,
for us because we get Reshny at 18th overall, so
absolutely.
works for
Yeah.
us. I just wanted
Yeah, I
he
think
made
it
me just.
was
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, I think it was a little overblown this year of how they just
Yeah.
no short guys were taken, especially round two. I was watching it was like 6'4", 6'5", 6'3". It's like,
Yeah.
geez, there's some good short guys too.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Speaking of which, Flames in round 3 take Maceo Phillips, 6'6", 233.
There's a big boy. Yeah,
Just a
he's
monster.
yeah, he's one of those guys that my model, it sees the size, but not a huge fan of his production.
Yeah, no,
Only
that makes
had
sense.
It was kind of like the standout amongst the, even in the last 2 drafts, kind of like the outlier in terms of how the Flames have drafted. I know I saw a lot of people saying that was kind of off base for the Flames to do that, but yeah,
okay. I think
I didn't know enough about him to make
yeah,
it.
there's still a lot of belief in like scout meetings where you've got to take some big players to balance out the small. Like I remember the Canadiens in 2022, they put out a video that was like their scout meetings, and they talked about how if they took Slavkovsky at 1, they were comfortable taking Hudson later because they got the size with Slav earlier.
Right.
So I think it's the same thing. It was like a maybe internal meeting. If we take Reshny and other small guys like that earlier, then just take a guy like Phillips a little later.
Yeah, I remember that. I kind of remember a similar type thing way back in the day when in the Flames, the year they got it was the year they got Johnny Gaudreau, actually, and I think they had taken like Tyler Wotherspoon with their second round pick, and I was like, yeah, okay, you got your big guy, now you can take your little guy, give and take. Yeah.
I think we
Well,
see a lot of that this year in the 7th round too. There were a bunch of small little guys that my model liked being taken in the 7th.
I don't necessarily hate it. Like, again, you come back, you look at, especially later in the playoffs, round 3 and 4, some of these monsters, they just start to have even more of an impact on grinding down the other team, when it comes to a long, potentially 7-game series. So you got to have some of these guys, got to have some of these monsters.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, the Flames, they came in number 1 as the most efficient team, and they still took some monsters. So
yeah,
I think it's okay to still take a chance on some of them if you really believe that it might translate.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner. Every face-off, hat-trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, and every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, an official partner of the NHL. Download the Bet365 app and use the code NATION to get in on the game. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly.
And then obviously the next pick they made was the Widenbuck pick, which, it's cool because you probably know this, but he was the winner of the inaugural winner of the Gaudreau Award this year in the USHL. So it's cool how that worked out too.
Yeah, very storybook.
But the next pick was also, I saw a lot of people really like this pick too, Aiden Lane. He kind of bounced around this year a little bit. I think he was in high school playing high school hockey, but he was in the OHL and the USHL as well. What can you tell us about this kid?
Yeah, my model isn't as high on him as other people have, but it's mainly because of his high school production or the amount of time he spent playing in high school. Like he did play well in there, but it's such a low level league that it's hard to look good.
Yeah.
When you play 50 plus games in that league. But yeah, I think if he takes a step next year and plays in a stronger league, you could really see his odds shoot up.
I remember when the Flames took Jankowski in the first round, I believe he was playing high school hockey, and I always just remember seeing
junior high school, probably.
Yeah, seeing all the highlights from that draft, and it's all these guys playing in all the leagues, and then the Jankowski footage was playing in high school. He's got a full cage on it. Like, oh man,
That's kind of
where
the stuff
did
they
your
can pull
model
off.
have Aiden Lane? Ranked.
See, I had him 205th. So
Okay.
for taking him 176th at that point, the difference in value between
Just a little bit.
those picks isn't that big. So
Yeah, you get into these later rounds, and it's it's tougher. It's probably a lot of scouts just like, hey, this is a guy I've a lot of these kind of
Take a
pet
shot
picks or
at.
something. Take a
We're
shot.
taking a shot at Dustin Wolf in round 7. Here we
Yeah,
go.
exactly.
look how
Hey,
that worked.
as a Habs fan, hey, we had some heated discussions about Hudson versus Wolf this year.
I can imagine. Yeah. The
Well,
right guy won
it
it.
wasn't heated. It was us being super biased, being like Wolf should win the Calder. Nobody else should win it. But obviously, what Lane Hudson did was incredible. Give me your as a Habs, because I didn't watch a lot of Montreal Canadiens hockey this year. I've watched his highlights.
You missed
Obviously,
out.
watched him play a little bit, but what's he doing? What is with this kid? He's unreal, eh?
He's just everywhere, especially on offense. Like you put him in, and you can count on him to give you like 5, 6 great chances. I went to a Habs game this year when I was up in Montreal, and there was the one where they scored to tie up the game with, was it like 10 seconds left in the game? And it was Hudson just up on the rush, took a shot from pretty much the blue line, and Suzuki was there to tap it in. It's just like every time he's on the ice, he creates something. And he's done that pretty much his entire career. So it's not a huge surprise to see that it's translating.
That sounds just like Johnny Gaudreau. That's what it used to be like for you go to watch a game, any game of the year. Didn't matter. You didn't have to pick a game. You just went to a game. You just knew that he was going to be fun to watch, and he did the same thing. 5 or 6 unreal plays. Just
You must be feeling pretty good, eh? With all these, man, Montreal looked like they had
they did it.
They were going to town over the weekend, eh?
Yeah, they did well. I liked some of their picks too. It seems like recently they've been taking a lot more big guys that my model's not as high on, but I think they took LJ Mooney later in the draft, and I had him ranked I think as a late first. So I'm really happy with that pick.
Yeah,
And they also took
I was just gonna say we were lamenting the fact that you guys managed to snag what 2 firsts out of the Sean Monahan deal that we dumped Monahan on you, and you ended up turning that into like Noah Dobson and the Hague kid last year. Yeah,
so thank you in part for Noah Dobson.
you're
Really
welcome.
appreciate that.
You can thank Brad Shuley.
You're welcome.
Yeah, well, good thing he's with Toronto now.
Exactly.
Good, yeah, good thing it works out for you guys too. He can, you guys can beat them every single year. He can destroy their team now. I just wanted to circle back on Reshny for a minute because obviously, okay, maybe he's undersized, but what is his real defining? We talked kind of about how well he played at the playoffs, but what do you see as kind of his defining attribute makes him such a good player?
I think just his smarts. Like he's so smart, and that clearly translates into how he puts up points. Like it's hard to be one of the best players in the WHL in a league that's stacked with good talent if you're not a smart player. And I think smarts like that is what translates the best to the NHL. If you're a smart player in juniors, it's going to do pretty well for you when you move to the next level. And that's what you usually see in the players that produce really high, but maybe the scouts don't like as much. As they're super smart, but the scouts just don't like the physical part. But they can grow in. They can add in 20 pounds by going to the weight room, but they can't get a lot smarter. So that's what I like about him. He's so smart.
Yeah, we've often joked about that with a lot of our past players. You just can't teach the hockey sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's really true. It's really true. Yeah, I think we're super excited. I know we've been dying for centers here for years and years and years and years. So it's nice to see the Flames go out and address some of their center depth this year and be able to hit a pick like that.
It was such a strong center class this year, so I'm glad they were able to take advantage of it.
I mean, I was watching Eklund fall too, and I was kind of like, oh man, are they going to be able to get Eklund? But great player, but I'm glad we got Reshny.
I had Reshny higher than Eklund. So
yeah, you did. I just looked at that. You had him at, oh wow, wow.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I had both the Swedish guys lower than consensus. A lot of Chicago fans were not happy about how I saw Frondell. But
yes,
I saw.
If you see them at the bottom of the chart, most of that is Frondell, West, and then Nestrasil, who they also took. All three guys that was not that high on.
Yeah, I'm sure all the Buffalo fans are happy with you too. I think you had them lower on the end of that too.
I saw a lot of Buffalo, Toronto, and Chicago fans were not happy with what I was putting out.
You should just no matter what happens, always have Toronto just like at the bottom,
Just troll.
troll them, just piss them right off.
Yeah, well, it's not that hard to do there.
Yeah,
That's true.
Good point. Good point.
They'll always find something.
So Nick, from an outsider third party perspective, I mean, we track our own team nonstop. That's all we really do, especially management and picks and all that stuff, and direction we're heading and whatnot. What's your kind of finger on the pulse of where you see the Calgary Flames currently at as a team, as an organization? Are we going to make the playoffs next season? Where are we at in our kind of, we're not calling it a rebuild, retool process while simultaneously trying to make the playoffs every season? We get frustrated a lot, but I'm just curious from an outsider perspective. Obviously, you have a shrewd hockey mind from an analytical standpoint. Give us your take.
Well, before this season, the expectation was that the Flames would not be great, right? Like bottom 5, 8 team, right? So I thought at that point that probably should have gone all in for a rebuild this year, maybe next year. But I think Wolf really proved himself as a very reliable guy. They've been drafting well, even with their later picks. Like the guy like Reshny, you picked up a talent that you're going to get in the 5th to 10th overall pick. So that instead of spending a year tanking and not having a fun time watching your team, you can, be in the playoff fight and still pick up a guy that, you should have up there. But yeah, I think they might take a step back next year. I think Montreal, similarly, before the Dobson trade, I also thought as they were probably going to take a step back, 'cause they overachieved. But I mean, Calgary's doing such a great job drafting, picking up young talent that it's when your older guys step out and time for new talent to come in and, bring the Flames into a new era, you're going to have that talent there already, and it's just going to be flawless. So I think maybe 2, 3, 4 max, you're going to see back in the playoffs, and pretty scary team.
Hey, maybe we're just too negative over here.
No, I'm really excited.
Nice to hear.
I like how Calgary's doing, Washington doing, and Montreal. Those are like my big 3 of teams that are, I think, building the right way and might see success a lot earlier than a lot of people expect.
Awesome. Well, that's great news. Mike, you got any more questions?
Did you like the Dobson trade for your team? Probably. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I did.
You did. Yeah.
I think it's the right move. Such a prospect pool is so strong that you can just, sacrifice a couple 16th, 17th pick and pick up a number 1, maybe number 2 defenseman. I'm looking forward to having Dobson and Hudson together. It's gonna be so fun.
Hey, the Flames connection to this trade goes even deeper than just the Monahan pick, because the Islanders selected Noah Dobson with the pick that we traded them way back in 2017 for Travis Hamonic. So that's got Flames. That's got Flames all over it.
Yeah, Dobson's pretty much yours at this point.
So we're gonna watch. That team be really good, and we're not going to be resentful at all. Not at all.
I enjoy watching Montreal.
Oh yeah, Montreal.
Actually,
it's the only Canadian team that's like, yeah, we're good with Montreal.
Yeah, one of our good buddies that we used to work with, he was a big Habs fan. So
yeah, we like fun to watch,
and we in person, it's a whole nother level.
Oh yeah, I get when I was playing hockey in Calgary growing up, the hockey association. There's 4 quadrants in the city, and they all rotate playing in the midget tournament in Montreal each year. So we were lucky enough to go. Got to see a Montreal Canadiens game back when Saka Koivu was the captain. I got myself a Koivu jersey.
Nice.
But the friggin' Bell place, man. I mean, I don't know how many Flames games I had taken in, maybe 30 plus 40 by the time I was that age, and then just going to see a game in the Bell Center. It wasn't. It's a whole nother level. It wasn't even close. It's not even close. I mean, Flames. I mean, the Saddledome in the playoffs is pretty epic. I've never seen a playoff game in Montreal. I'm sure it's off the charts too. But yeah, that was a very special experience getting to see the showcase out there in Montreal.
Yeah, I had the very similar thing. I'm living in California the past few years, so all the games that I see are Sharks versus Canadians over here. So
Yeah.
then this spring I was in Montreal and I caught the when they were playing Florida, and it was in the end of the season when they were fighting for a playoff spot. So it felt like a playoff game.
Yep.
Such a big difference in how it feels. All the fans are crazy, and the goal with 10 seconds left that I mentioned earlier that would just put a bow on it. It was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to explain. There's just something. There's something about it. It's in a realm of its own for sure.
It's like religious. It's like
Yeah. It's just built in the city.
You look up like man, I'll never the Canadians, like they're always there pre like the first game when they do those ceremonies. And there was that one that year. I think Carey Price was there. I might not be remembering, but they had they're handing the torch off, and they did a thing where they like lit center ice, and it'd be man. That was incredible, man. That's awesome. See, we love the Habs.
Yeah, we love the Flames.
We'll be cheering for Caulfield and all the boys too. So
yeah, very exciting team. Love watching what Suzuki does.
Suzuki, yeah.
Okay, Mike, you got any more questions?
No, I think that's it, man. Thanks. That was great. Really sharp, really good info.
Yeah, appreciate it. Keep up the good work. We'll put all your info here.
It'll be in the description
show
where you can find.
And then any closing thoughts, Nick, on the Flames, or
not many? Just get excited. Keep drafting well, and I don't think it'll stop by the way they're going. So fun times ahead in Calgary.
Beautiful. That's what we like.
See you guys in the finals.
We should have Nick on every week to give us pep
you guys up.
Just good for our mental health. All right, appreciate it, man.
Right. Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Hey, buddies, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Also, if you could throw in a like and subscribe, it does help us out with what it is we are doing. And check out more at flamesnation.ca.